2022 Building Code Board of Appeals meeting. First one is a roll call. Jackie, could you do roll call, please?
Mr. Abathera?
Here.
Ms. Brooks? Here. Mr. Duserman?
Here.
Mr. Friesen?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Next one is the approval of the minutes of the November 3rd, 2021 meeting. Anybody want to put a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Jackie?
Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Duserman?
Yes.
Mr. Friesen?
Yes.
Mr. Abathera?
Yes. Next one is our first case, which is the variance request of Cheryl L. Smith at 1299 Milverton. Celine, could you tell us about it, please?
Sure. This property is a double front corner lot per the City of Troy zoning ordinance. It is in the R1E use district. As such, per Chapter 83 of the City of Troy Code, it has 25 feet required front setback along both Milverton north-south and Milverton east-west. The petitioner is requesting a variance to install a 6 feet high, 132 feet long obscuring vinyl fence, 1 foot from the property line along the Milverton north-south side, where the city code limits to 30 inches obscuring high fences, due to the fact that there isn't a back-to-back relationship to the rear neighboring lot. The variance request is for the 36 feet of the total 132 feet fence. 96 feet of the fence do not require a variance per Chapter 83.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Celine before we start on this? Celine, I have a question for you. Can you put it up on GIS?
Yep, I'm going to put here it is.
Can you blow it up a little bit or shrink it a little bit so it gets a little bit wider?
Sure.
A little bit more.
A little bigger?
Nope, smaller. All right. That's Dub Street, right up there. That goes into a park, correct?
Correct. It goes into a park, and the only purpose of it is connecting to the park. I checked with the emergency services, and it's for the purpose of servicing the park in case of an emergency.
Okay, so there's never going to be a car driving down there
Practically no,
to get in?
except for emergency vehicles and the people who own that property.
And the park is always going to be a park. There's never going to be sold and have houses put in there.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
There's
you.
never going to be houses in there.
Correct.
The park is the city park. And so-
Correct.
Okay. And the fence, just to clarify, it's at 32 feet from the sidewalk back, correct?
Yeah, it's that red line.
Yep.
You see back here, that's a long stretch, and then there's a little section on this side right here.
How much was section over there, is it? It's like 12
Let me
feet?
see, I got, there's got to be some notes here. 1 second, please. Okay, it's 12 feet,
12 feet, okay.
according to this.
And then back to your pictures. You show a picture of a 6-foot fence.
Yep, let me get to that section. You tell me which picture you
No,
want to
keep
see.
going, keep going, keep going.
Yep, that's a neighbor's fence. There's several fences already there. They're 6 feet in height.
Hold on a second.
There's another one right here. It's a vinyl one.
Yeah, and then that's from the park looking in.
Same park, yep.
Yeah,
It's across the park.
that's across the park. though.
Yeah, that one's across, and then there's one adjacent to it.
Didn't I just see a picture that had a gate? I'm looking.
Oh, the chain link that's with the shed.
Do you have any previous requests or permits for the fence that is on the adjacent property or down the
Yeah,
road?
they have permits.
Okay.
I'm lost.
Talking about this one, Gary?
No, let me just look and see. Go ahead, anybody else have any questions for Celine before I ask the petitioner?
Just to confirm, Salim, on that plan, the variance is just from the blue line north, basically, right? So
Yeah, let me get to it so you can look at it from
yeah,
here.
it's just that dog leg from the blue line up.
Yeah, so the blue line is a setback.
Right.
And so, yeah, the variance is only for the small section of the 12 feet and the
Got it.
setback,
Yep.
which is 25 feet. The rest is by right.
Understood, thank you.
All right. So it's just that one corner closest to that sidewalk.
This section right here.
Salim, do we have any letters from neighbors? Any correspondence from neighbors?
No, we don't have that.
You do have one support, at least what's on
Do we
the,
have a
Yeah,
support?
not against, but in support, yes.
And I take it the DPW or whoever from the city looked at, they don't have any questions? No, because they're the ones who use that little road, right?
Yeah, so what happens is with, when it comes to easements, the approval of VCVA is for the setback. We still put it through the process of approval from DPW. And most of the times, there's no issue for easements, but I always mention that the approval is only for setbacks on VCVA. It still has to go through the whole process of approval from DPW.
Okay. And, oh, is there a letter from the Eagle in this packet, or is it a different one? Wasn't there a letter from the
WRC?
WRC? Did we request that, or did they send that automatically? There was a letter, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. I'm losing it.
Page 32 on our,
Did we request that, or,
You want to, sir?
if you look on page 32, there's a letter from the WRC? And my question is, did we request that, or
We did not request it, no.
did they just send it out on their
Yeah,
own?
if that's the case, yes.
Okay. And I look at the letter, it doesn't seem like they have any problem with it.
so it's like a public response? They would have been part of the mailing?
Yeah.
Because it does say the office has received a public hearing notice.
Okay, there's that. So the picture's not in my packet. What page am I on? 37? If you go to page 37, can you go to 37, Salim?
It's just, give me a second, let me look here.
This,
Where's that picture taken at?
I believe that's from Silcott on the other side, looking back toward the property. So this is this one and the one directly left of this picture, both have 6-foot fences that they reference as precedent.
Okay, and that's the same little road, but the other side of the park coming into
They
it?
don't exactly align, they're off by a little bit, but it's the same road, yeah.
Okay. Because I'm looking at that going,
Right.
okay,
Yeah, if you look
Tell
at
me
some of
more,
the
Slim.
other pictures from the property side, you can see that in the distance too.
okay. So the property's on
Actually,
the other side of the park?
Here,
I can see it right
Yeah,
here.
that's from the property to the picture below. Those are like
Okay.
opposite photos from the same street.
I understand it, but why does one have a fence and one doesn't? It's the same.
On the, whatever that is, the north side, they
Right.
both have it, and on the
east and west.
on this house, they do not.
Okay. Because both pictures are taken from the middle of the road, looking in the same direction, aren't they?
No,
No.
they're opposite, those are opposite directions. Those are across the park at each other.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm good now.
So I wanted to add, this letter here, normally it's part of the review that we do through the DPW. And if there's something, we request extra documents. So this could have been requested when they applied for it originally.
Okay. Because we've never seen one of those before, on any of our things. Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions for Salim before I bring the petitioner up?
No, sir.
No? No. Was the petitioner present? Would you like to come up and, Salim, do we not have a sign-in?
With the- thanks.
Oh, excuse me, one moment, Will. Okay. If you could go ahead and state your name and the reason why you need the variance.
Yes, Cheryl L. Smith. I have lived in that house for 38 years. I had a wooden fence that covered that same area that I want to put the resin fencing. And due to shoddy workmanship and failure to really keep the wood upkeep as it should have been. I had sections of the fencing that literally blew out in heavy storms. My grandson and I took down all of that fencing except for 3 posts that are still in the ground. And the traffic in the park has gotten to where it's been tremendous. It's a wonderful park. The neighborhood really likes it. Many dogs are walked through there. And since that fence has been down, my next door neighbors who have a dog have had kids coming into my yard and reaching over the chain link into their yard trying to pet their dog. The danger to the people in the park and for my neighbors dealing with that. What I found with the wooden fencing, when I myself had dogs, I do not at the moment, but it's not just a matter of a fence to keep people out or to keep pets in, but the visual makes it much better for pets especially. The barking, etc., is extreme at times because the park is very popular. I was thrilled when they put it in. And now to find that, this seems like a very strange thing since there will never be traffic going through there. That fence is not going to block anybody from doing anything that's essential to this city. And it certainly is going to look a lot better than what it has been for several years because of the deterioration of the wooden fence and now with nothing being there.
Right. Just a couple questions for you.
Yes,
How far
sir.
is the walkway from your backyard at the park? Is there a walkway in the park?
Yes, the sidewalk that goes alongside my property leads right into the parkway.
Okay.
And then there is a pathway that's all the way around the park. And there's a section that goes across it also,
Yep.
from one side to the other.
And you had a 6-foot fence that blew over.
Yes, I did.
Was there ever a permit for that?
There
Celine?
was no, since sometimes the fences are old, there's
Yeah.
no record of them.
All right. So the fence blew down, now she's trying to come and make it
With
right.
nicer fence.
What she had before blew down. Okay. And if she knew she had to do this, she probably would have kept trying to fix the old fence rather than,
Yes.
yes, I understand. I mean, okay. Does anybody have any questions for the petitioner?
Nope. So back to the request
The DRW, the request.
with what your variance is, how far from the sidewalk on the street side are we looking at proposing this fence be installed?
One second, let me get there. You're talking on this side right here?
Yeah.
So we have 25-foot setback, and then they also want 12 feet, so it's 12 feet plus 25 feet. That's the request.
So how far from the sidewalk, the city sidewalk, is that fence?
Oh, it has to be 1 foot.
1 foot.
Minimum. And that's a standard for all fences.
So are you proposing to end that fence then at that driveway? Is that your intention there? To meet up with the chain link fence?
It would
That's-
meet up with the chain link
So you would
that's
just
on
have a
that side.
6-foot section?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So there's a chain link there now, if I'm up to that
Yes,
point?
there
where-
is.
Okay, so you're just basically replacing what was fallen over?
Yes, replacing the
I
wooden.
got you. Okay,
And there's the post.
yeah,
Picture page 17 has got,
okay.
Right, it's right
That
here
corner.
on the picture.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, there's a couple of things here. So.
And you don't park a car on that concrete, that's just to get your lawnmower in and out of the shed?
On the driveway?
Yeah, and
Or-
where the gate is right there. You don't park a car there, you just use it as...
We haven't for years.
Right.
I used to, many years ago, we had a camper and a boat on a trailer, and those,
My thing is, you don't use it You don't
but
make 10
it's
trips a
used
day on that driveway.
rarely.
The reason I'm saying that is, we usually like to keep a line of vision from the driveway to the sidewalk, but I don't think that driveway's used. It's more for like storage for a camper, a boat.
No, and there isn't going to be any traffic coming from,
Well, I just look at people walking
The
down the
west.
sidewalk to the park. I just don't want someone
Oh.
walking down the sidewalk and you pulling out of the driveway,
it's,
clipping them.
yeah,
But
we don't use it
I
as a,
don't- yeah.
mostly it's to drop materials off that we're using in the yard and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any more questions for the petitioner? Want to bring it back to the board and talk about it for a minute? I mean, I don't,
Do we have to notify?
yes.
Gary,
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that the approval for this, if it's an approval, it's only for the purpose of setbacks. This has to go through the process through DPW, okay? And normally, there's no problems with it, but I wanted to make sure that you understand that.
Okay, with DPW?
Yes, because they check for easements and other things, so.
They're going to internally look at it.
Yeah, once you, if you get approved for setbacks, it goes through the standard process of the building department,
That happens with all fences.
all permits.
Okay, okay. I just know,
Ours is the
there
biggest
wasn't,
hurdle.
there was never a problem of any kind with the wooden fence up there, so I
Right.
I
can't
understand, but
We
imagine.
understand. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, if we say no, it never goes anywhere else. So we're the first hurdle, correct?
Correct.
All right. I do need to bring up, there's only 4 of us here today.
Yes.
It requires 3. It's your option. You want to postpone or keep going, but
I think I'm going to just let
Let
you
it go.
make the
Okay.
decision.
all right. Anybody else have any more thoughts? And you want to put a resolution together?
I'll put a resolution together. I move to approve the variance request for 1299 Milverton as specified for Ms. Smith, with no exceptions at this point, based on the fact that it doesn't impact any hardships on the community and creates some difficulties for the homeowner that we're trying to resolve for her, so.
Jackie, did you get that? Anybody want to second it?
I will second the motion.
Jackie, take the vote, please.
Mr. Duserman?
Yes?
Mr. Friesen?
Yes.
Mr. Abathura?
Yes.
Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
Your motion passed. You're all set.
Thank you.
You have a good day.
I appreciate it.
Where did my stuff go? Our next case is a variance request from Sapphire Building Incorporated for 1432 Waddles. Salim, please tell us about that.
Sure. This property is an interior lot, and it is in the R1B use district. As such, it has 40 feet required front setback along West Waddles. The petitioner is requesting a variance to install 4.5 feet high, 253.95 feet non-obscuring metal fence, and 6 masonry columns at 5 feet high. All items with a setback of 1 foot from the property line along West Waddles, in size of 40 feet setback. Where the city fence code limits fences to 30 inches, the total length of the fence requested by the petitioner to be permitted by the building department is 970 feet, which only 253.95 feet of the fence require a variance.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Salim to start this one? Salim, it's going to go all the way across the front of the property
Correct, and returns.
and returns.
Yep.
And right to the lot line?
Yeah, I'm going to show you the floor plan that I have here. It's in a lot of information, by the way. So, let me get to the drawing.
Drawing is really hard to read.
Okay, so here's the front of it. Here's the columns.
Yep.
And then the design is right here. So it has some, it varies on the heights but the dimensions I gave are the maximum height.
The fence will be 1 foot off the sidewalk, though.
Correct. All fences should be, any structure should be 1 foot away from sidewalk.
Correct. All right.
In fact, this fence will be a little more because the column itself has to be 1 foot away,
So the
and the fence is kind of recessed. Yeah.
Okay. And how far is the house set back from the property line? Do you know that?
I don't, but we can find that out right now. So it's right here. I don't have this at scale. I'm sorry, I don't have that
Okay.
information. But you can see it by
We can
scale
ask the
here.
petitioner if they know.
There's a number on there, it's just grayed out.
I mean, it looks like it's 50 or 75 feet.
87 to the,
Let me-
87 from south lot line to building edge,
Okay.
because there's a 45-foot setback, and then it's beyond that, but yeah, 87.
And one last question, Vasil, Celine,
Yes.
do you think the sidewalk is to the property corner right now, or is it, is it 1 foot off the property, or is it
At the corner of the property, or?
in front of the house? Because, the road right away is probably 60 or 70 foot wide.
Yes.
It's a major road, it might be 90 or 120.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the sidewalk is right to the lot line right now? Or do you think it's set back? You know.
Well, no, I don't know. I will have to check.
Okay. Would your GIS show that?
Let me see if I think put a computer here that's not my standard computer, so
Okay.
I don't have access to GIS.
Okay.
Let me see if I can.
Anybody else have any more questions for Celine? While he's looking for that? I was going to pull the petition.
Sidewalk is right next to the property.
Okay.
Well, it's a foot off.
Yeah, but he was asking something else regarding the width of the avenue.
Yeah.
It's a foot off the right.
Is the petitioner present? I'd like to come up and tell us why you need this.
Hi, I'm Amy Eckerman with Sapphire. New construction home on Waddles. They just are looking, in the way that the property sits, it's surrounded by backyards. Obviously, as you mentioned with the previous petitioner, really this is a request for just the front, from the front setback forward, so that we can have a higher than 30-inch request. So they want to be able to secure their property, and just have a little bit of privacy. They have a family. They want to be able to shut gates and at least keep the property enclosed.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Anybody have
If you have
any
any
questions?
questions,
In a minute. Anybody have any questions for the petitioner? I have a question for you. Is why can't the fence be back 25 feet?
Well, they'd
Off
like
the
to
side.
utilize their property.
Okay. So there's going to be gates on it, so is there
Correct.
ample room from Waddles to the sidewalk for them to get out of the car, open up the gates, drive in, get out,
Yeah,
shut
there's
the
over
gates?
20 feet.
I think I
So
measured
that, yeah, you can get off the drive lane.
Okay.
it.
Anybody have any questions for the petitioner right now?
Was there any consideration given like a living barrier? I believe the neighbor to the west has more of a living barrier, arborvitae.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I think it was discussed, and they were just, this was the kind of more what they were looking to do, probably for various reasons. I mean, the plants look nice and look good, but you live in Michigan winters, and arborvitaes don't always survive, and that's a lot of arborvitae you would have to maintain and also make sure survive every winter. So maintenance, this is a little bit more realistic.
One of the sketches that were submitted does show arborvitae on the inside of the fence, page 50 for our packet. But it was one of the ones that were submitted. So is that part of the architect or the landscaping plan?
I don't know if they have a firm landscape plan yet, to be honest with you. So I
Conceptual.
yeah, it's conceptual at this point, because the house was just finished in December. So this is kind of our next step, is going to the landscape.
I know as a board, Okay, one of these fences on Long Lake. I don't know if, Sandy, were you here at the time? Long Lake between Rochester and Livernois, north side.
Otherwise, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Big house. Yes.
I also wanted to add, Gary, that in that avenue, we have subdivisions that the lots are on the backside. So we have other subdivisions that can get 6-foot fences right adjacent to her lot,
Right.
by right, it's,
They can come all the way out.
yeah.
So the house to the immediate east,
Yeah, I'm putting GIS, but I don't have a way to put it on the screen because IT did not set me up for that. So I'm trying to get that information. Okay, GIS does not show the house yet. So-
What does the
But the subdivision
It's
to the
finished.
right, if you want, I can bring the computer, so if you want to look.
no, but I'm asking the house to the east,
It'll be to the east, yeah, it's.
because their backyard faces
It's a
this house.
backyard, correct.
And is there a side fence right to the lot line?
Let me, I would need to get to that point, 1 second.
Oh, this one, Gary? I mean, this is the house to the right. It's just all,
I mean, this is,
Way.
right.
They don't have.
Yeah, there is
also see they have a gap here from the sidewalk, right? They got at least 4 or 5 feet.
pictures.
Yeah.
I'm not sure date on the picture.
It doesn't show, I got a picture here of both sides. So at the present time, there's no fence on the picture, but they have the right to put a fence.
But if you took that view right now, and went to the house to the east, and they came in here and wanted to put a fence up, they'd have to be back 30 feet off the sidewalk, correct?
On the house to the east,
the
no,
east,
they can put it a foot away because it's the back of the lot of the subdivision.
But can they come all the way out to the city sidewalk?
Yeah,
To
one
Waddles?
1 foot away from the city sidewalk.
Isn't that the same setback we just looked at on the last one?
Yeah,
And
that's-
you'd still have that same setback on us.
Not on the
double
on the
front.
house to the east because it's the back of the subdivision.
Right, but the south side of their lot is a front yard on
They
Waddles,
basically got a
right?
back to the side ratio.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry. So too bad I can't connect the GIS, I'm sorry, it's just, but I have the GIS here in front of me on the other computer. And the one to the east is a subdivision. It's
Right.
lot 4055, and it's the back of the lot. That means that the fence on that side can go 1 foot away from the sidewalk at 6 feet high,
Okay, because it's the back, not the side.
because it's the
But
back.
it-
Okay.
Because it's the back of the
But
property.
aren't the
Yeah.
lots on the east and west both double front lots?
No, this one is a subdivision. Let me bring you this, I really need to show you.
Excuse us one second.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah. I understand you can talk through.
Oh, okay, so since it's the backyard, they put us,
Yeah.
what about these people here?
That's a side yard, they
So
would need a variance for
they need
setback.
variance. These people back?
This.
All up, these people can all put a 6-foot
Oh,
fence.
yes, not only there, but also here.
Yeah,
It's
so
always a
6 foot
concern for
down,
me,
Yep,
but
correct.
And then you want to go 5 here, but
often-
these people have to step back
Yeah.
to here like that. Okay.
I had to show it to them so they also are aware of it.
You found,
Yeah,
did you guys, yeah.
You're aware, that way you guys are aware? So you see right here, this,
So that's a back,
yeah,
that's a
he
back.
can do 6 feet, 6 feet. This one needs to be set back, this is where that petitioner is.
Right.
And this has to be set back. So I was just making a point that these people can have the fence at 6 feet
At
all the
6
way.
feet. But this is the question I have in mind.
Yep.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, the front, that's the one we're dealing with.
But right next to them, they get a 6-foot fence right to the sidewalk.
On the
1
east
foot off
side,
to
but not on the
east
west
side. Right, on the west side, they'd stay back 30 feet.
Just because the configuration of those lots.
Yeah.
But you brought up something earlier that concerns me is nobody's telling me what the depth is from the street to the sidewalk. What is our, because your sidewalk's what, 4 foot, 3 foot?
5 foot there.
5 foot?
So if you look right there at it,
So.
I
what's
measured
the-
it at like 25 on our, from
mean-
road edge to the property.
It's, 20 foot is a normal parking space, 22.
yeah.
So, it's concerning to me that you're right up on that, but that's because you're, like you brought up, being in the road interference.
Yeah.
But again, but the only thing is that we should really discuss is we've had this before us, or before this board, for a similar thing on Long Lake several years ago. So
Yeah.
I don't know what we set a precedence, really more or less, of a similar situation, but it wasn't exact, but that's my only thing. It's giving enough space between the street and sidewalk. enough time for them, whether it's opening the
Right.
gates or whatever it is, you're pulling out, and you're having to close the gates and so forth, and being safe.
Yeah,
to
to your question
pedestrians
is
on the
25
sidewalk.
feet, is you're already 25 feet to the sidewalk, plus the sidewalks. You're 30 feet, plus 1 foot is 31 feet to the fence from the street.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Because that
that,
wasn't shown on here, that's all I'm saying. is-
that all makes sense in the current configuration. I guess I just go back to Gary's comment earlier. I don't know what the right-of-way is for that road, being that it's a mile road. If they widen that mile road to whatever, I don't know,
5-lane
5
road.
lanes, then now you're down to 12 feet or something like that on
Yes.
that version.
Is there probably a turning lane there
Yeah,
too?
and
Turn on Northfield.
you already have the subdivision that has by right the 6-foot fence. So really, if they need to move fences for the expansion of the road.
The 6-foot fence, you're not driving a car into.
Correct.
This is driving into the driveway.
Correct.
Okay. Yes, Sam.
Question for Salim. So the gate portion of this just falls simply under the fence? There is not a separate city ordinance regarding it being a gate?
But you have the 25 by 25 on corners for visibility. But in this case, it's not a corner.
Okay.
So there really isn't anything that will say that they can't do it.
Okay. Want to make sure.
Do you have any more comments for us? Anybody have any more questions for the petitioner? I want to see if there's anybody else in the audience.
No, I'm here, yeah, if you have
No?
any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this one? Go ahead.
I'm the owner,
Okay.
moved in here. So, I mean, I know you guys are talking about the width and all of that stuff. I have an autistic kid, and before we moved here, we used to live on Mayapple Drive, 6038, which was not on the main road. It was in a subdivision. And he would walk out, but we have lived there for such a long time. Everybody knew us, right? So they sort of say, no, you need to go back inside. The problem with this is that it is just wide open. You just walk in, and the thing is that, and my biggest worry is that if I'm not home, my wife is not home, and he's just with his siblings at home, there's no way for us to tell that if he walks out on the main road, there's no way for me to stop him. Even putting plants and stuff like that, there is no way. Even going into neighbor's property, he can just wander into neighbor's property without knowing where is he going. So for me, this is really important, because otherwise it's just a constant issue for me. I mean, I have put Nest cameras everywhere to sort of monitor who is going in and out, but I mean, I can't stop somebody from going out of the house. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead. Could you please sign in before you leave? Yep. And then you can come up to the podium when he's done. I think we have one letter too, don't we?
Opposition.
So with regard to all these fences,
Just please state your name.
I'm sorry, it's James Geisinger.
Okay.
I live in that neighborhood.
Address.
I'm on the board of the Somerset Place, or Somerset North Association, and we've had requests in the past for people to put in fences. And I don't know whether the city of Troy denies it or whether it's because of our rules and guidelines. In fact, we had another physician in the neighborhood who has an autistic child as well, who really wanted to put up a fence. And he got shut down. And again, I don't know if it was through the city of Troy or because of our guidelines within the subdivision. So does the city of Troy allow fences to go up in any subdivision anywhere? They do. Is that something new? Because 20 years ago, I tried to put up a walled fence similar along Northfield, and it was shot down because I had two very
It
young
falls under ordinance
Yeah,
80.
So what happens is that the City of Troy, Chapter 83 fence code explains to you that you have certain rules for certain fences, and I'm trying to answer your question. So masonry, plastic, or metal, approved by the building official, materials have to be approved. In subdivisions, they can have also their own ordinance. But if we do not regulate what the subdivisions do, we only regulate what the state requires, which is the adopted code that the City of Troy has. as well as Chapter 83 of the city ordinance.
Okay, so,
That answer your question?
yeah, so the subdivision would take precedence over that?
We give the permit for the city, and the subdivision can have their own rules, but it's up to the subdivision to block that if they want, but that's something that's more a contractual, it's a civil matter. It does not really affect what the permit is for you. So you can, for example, you get your permit from the city, you can start building your fence, and whatever the subdivision rules are totally separate from what the city has.
So the subdivision rules would then take precedent over the, okay. Would they or wouldn't they?
No.
We don't regulate, or we can't,
We would
what's
not
the word?
enforce or
Enforce.
regulate.
We cannot enforce what the HOA says.
Okay, the HOA would have to do that.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct. You're your own entity from an HOA,
Yeah.
pretty much. So you have to take your own matters into your own hands in regards to that for each homeowner. Can I ask a question in regards to that? Is this new home, is this being associated with
No.
that neighborhood in whatsoever? Are you joining that home into that neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, so.
Okay, thank you.
So you're not here for opposition or favor, or you're just?
No, not
questioning
really.
fence? Okay.
Actually, because we need a lot of clarification on issues like this in the past.
Okay.
You can always come to me. My name is Salim at the building department. I'll be more than glad to give you as much information as you need.
Okay, super,
All right?
Thank you.
thank you.
I have a question for the petitioner again. I have a question for the petitioner, if you don't mind coming up. You say the builders, how far from the property line to the front of the house are you setback?
It was.
87.
Sorry, it was 70, you had it.
87, I believe.
Yeah, sorry.
87 feet?
87,
front of this
that's, I
house.
think
And the
it was-
house is still not showing on GIS, so I
Correct.
can't
I
measure.
understand. What's the-
87.1.
What's the code for being set back, like 50 feet, I think?
It was
in the
40
major-
I think it's
45
40.
on this.
40 feet for this
Yeah.
specific location.
Yep.
40 feet for this location.
Mm-hmm.
I thought on a major road it goes to 50.
I think it said 40 in the packet.
At 45 on the drawing, but again, the drawing may or may not be what was
But it's
accepted.
87 feet, so it's
Well
it's
above.
double of what it.
According
what
to the
code.
drawing, I don't
Yes.
have an as-built.
Okay, yeah.
But this is, the petitioner's asking actually for a fence to be set at the property line on the front
Yeah.
and on sides with no setback based
Okay.
on the fact of,
Thank you very much for the answer there.
am I right by saying that?
So you want to be 1 foot off the side?
1 foot off the sidewalk?
Yeah, property line with it.
Which the neighbor to the east could have a fence along that sidewalk.
Exactly.
6 feet.
Neighbor to the west can't.
And
Neighbor to the west cannot.
I wanted to add to your concern, Gary. So fences are, if they are an obstacle to the expansion of the street, they will be taken down. There's many fences that will be taken down if the street wanted to expand. Even fences are not considered a structure per the building code. So it's just an item that is not practically a
But the
structure.
city would have to pay them for their fence to take it.
That I don't know, but
Yes, I
if.
think they would.
Yeah, I
But-
think they would, yeah.
Sorry.
Good.
But technically, you're talking about if the fence was an impedance to the road, but my point is, I guess, if, and I don't know what the number comes out, whatever the center line of the road plus the, half the right of way, if they build to that dimension, and that is, pick a number, is 5 feet away from this fence, the fence wouldn't necessarily come down, but then as someone tries to stop in the driveway to get in, they would create, an issue on the road.
I understand.
So I guess my overall commentary to it and to your comment about your child, there's no question, I think, on wanting to enclose it, how you want to enclose it, gates, et cetera. It's just the configuration of that. As it sits today, it doesn't really bother me. I only worry about if that road gets expanded, as we're doing with a lot of these mile roads anyway, if that dimension becomes too small and starts creating traffic issues along the road. So if it was something, and maybe as shown would meet this requirement anyway, but my thought is something about, the width of the right of way plus 20 feet so a car could pull off and come in. Right now you're 31, 34 feet, something like that. I imagine the right of way is probably about 10 to 15 feet wider than it is now. You're probably pretty close. It may just mean pushing it back 5 feet or something like that.
Matt, you were first.
So as this board in past precedences, we've kind of set looking at these fences as, and as we just did in this previous property, is the sidewalk, right? And with concrete column or whatever that is, stone columns right there where the gates are going to be hung, isn't that more obscuring to seeing the sidewalk per se from the city side? Being able to back out, pull in, pull forward, you have a blind spot on both sides pulling into that sidewalk. That's, I think, part of my concern is we've always kind of set a little bit of a healthy setback so that we are looking at that. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand this is a really odd
Very odd.
lot, you know, variance with both sides and so forth, and I think that, you know, it's just my issue, and as like you said, Sandy, I think most everything else I understand completely. It's just the setback from the sidewalk is where I sit with that.
I also want to remind that the right-of-way right now is 25 feet, plus the 5 feet of the sidewalk, then 1 foot, so it will be 31 from the curb right now, where they want it.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking about the planned expansion right away for the road, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So that has a maximum, and then if you went, whatever, 15, 20 feet back from there,
Understood.
that would give you some, may, again, where it is now may actually meet that already, because it is healthy back from there. But if that meant you moved it back 5 feet from the sidewalk, that would kind of alleviate Zerman's issue as well as the future expansion issue.
I understand.
That's kind of where I would sit on it.
But I was going to say too, is what you're saying though, is then the property, you brought it up too, is there may be a turnoff lane to get into the adjacent subdivision, which is the next house over to the west.
Right.
So they have a driveway on that side, you know, so if there was an expansion of some sort, way or shape, form, then whatever their backyard is would be.
And my only thought
taken
is
up.
that would be, I believe you know this better, that would be within whatever that master plan right-of-way is. So there is a line right now that says the master plan right-of-way goes to this point. If we went 20 feet back from that.
Right.
I don't see a whole lot of concern with anything
Yeah.
else on here.
Teresa?
Yeah.
You had your hand up?
I did. This is a large chunk of land. It's 1.25 acres. Most sites are much, much smaller than this. So we usually will say, you know, let's do the corner cut so they have, you know, a visible line. Why are we relying on the road easement to give us a place to pull their car in while they open the door or the gate?
Right.
Why are we
So-
not saying, let's move that back so it's all encompassed in their property to be able to pull into their property and then open the gate? And the columns being right at the sidewalk. I know in the past that maybe we haven't viewed it, but we live and learn, and the columns at the sidewalk do pose to me
Threats
a
to someone walking.
bit more hazard with a bicyclist or somebody, but it's, you
Right.
know.
One last question
always
then.
the column that
Celine,
gets
was
hit.
is there a code for how, the height at this point with their permit right now? Can they put in a 36 or 32-inch high,
2.5 feet, yes.
30.
2.5
Yep.
feet high fence at this point? So really, we're looking at just approving a plan to go higher than that.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, just, it's not that much, you know, but it's higher than the code requires.
Right.
As I started to tell the story about the house that we did on Long Lake, they, as a board, we had them push the fence back. I think we went back 10 feet, but we also put indentations for the gate.
Yeah,
So that the fence went straight, the gate went back 20, so it'd be 25 feet.
Right.
So we allowed that, because it is a beautiful decorative fence and a beautiful house, but I don't like that a kid could be riding his bike down the sidewalk and there's a cement column. And the fence is going to be 1 foot in from that cement column. So,
right, and even with the gate swung open,
yes.
someone's coming
Yeah,
out.
someone
or
coming the other way. coming
Whatever
out.
it is, I mean, it
Right.
doesn't,
And-
we're just looking at the
Right.
aspect of the safety and,
I know in the past, we don't negotiate a table. I don't have a problem with seeing if the petitioner wants to move it back and we could think about that.
Oh, yes, we.
You know, we don't really do it, but I don't mind making an exception today if the rest of my board doesn't.
Salim's got something.
Celine?
I wanted to add to Sandy's observation. So I have here that if you want to be at 75 feet expansion from center, you would need to set back that fence 15 feet still back to his question.
All right. So, but I mean, I know I'm not happy with it going right to the lot line, but I have no problem. They want to go 10, 12 feet back and maybe 12 feet for a gate to give it some set straight across.
But it wouldn't be a question if it was at 32 inches tall.
Correct.
And it could
They
still
go
be the
32.
column?
30.
Would the
30.
columns, but would the columns still be an issue because that would be considered obscuring?
Well, there's a 50% obscurity, so it will be less than the 50%.
So yes, they could do a 30-inch, but 30 is not going to keep their son in the yard. And
Sure.
I'm looking at the pictures. I think it's going to be a great-looking fence. I know we've done something like this in the past.
I agree.
I know you're the petitioner. Could the homeowner come back up again? So in kind of talking to the board, I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't seem like they're much in favor of going right to the lot line. Would you have a problem with setting that fence back off the sidewalk, instead of 1 foot of 10 or 12 feet?
No, I mean, they're building it, so I mean, I have to ask
You're living
them.
there, though.
I know, but I have to ask them to say what can be done. One thing about the gate will open inside.
Understand.
It will not open outside, so it will not come to the thing. And then even right now, without the gate, when I pull out of my lot, even if I'm not parking or no, it's not standing on the sidewalk, I have a big SUV. I have plenty of place to just sit my SUV without impeding traffic, because in the morning when I have to drop my kids off, Wattles is a busy road, as you guys have said. I have no problem turning right or left because I have plenty. Plus, the road is not just right next to the sidewalk. There's a pretty big piece of
Road
grass.
easement.
The grass that right now it's not as visible because of the snow and all of that stuff. So there's a pretty big piece of grass.
But that-
or
But
whatever
let
you
me,
call it.
let me, so right now you got one lane going east, one lane going west, and a turning lane. What are they going to do when they make it a 5-lane road with a turning lane?
So that
Now,
grass
that
space is
grass
actually road
Is now
easement.
curb.
You have all that land because of the future
Because of-
expansion of the road.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, practically speaking, I've lived in Troy for at least 15 years now. I have not seen that road expanded for whatever reason. There's no more house being built over there. There's really no other construction where you would need to expand it to a 5-lane or, I'm just saying practically,
okay,
right? I mean, if there was a lot of empty lands and malls and stuff like that, and they would say this needs more thing, you already have a big beaver right next to it, which is a big road. So, I mean, I don't really see.
I understand your point there. As the petitioner, do you want us to go forward with where it is right now, or do you want us to negotiate something back? I mean, it's your
Well,
call.
that's okay. Can I just a comment on a couple things that you guys have been speaking about? His property would be least harmed by a road expansion. I mean, I'm looking at the aerial, the house to the west, if you bump the road back like you're talking about, you're going to be on top of that house. I mean, I think the reality of a road expansion to the north, in particular, the south, it looks like it has more, you have more room. I don't know if that road's not centered in the right-of-way, but looking at the aerial, his property, the expansion of the right-of-way to the north of Wattles, I don't know how you would do it, because you've got houses that are fairly close to that right-of-way. So that's fine. I mean, if the client is willing to give back 5 or 10 feet to move the columns back. But I mean, I think, but I think respecting the fact that we want to use his property.
You have to let us know if you want us to go stay where
So
it is right now, or talk about moving it back. It's your call. You're the petitioner.
Can you give me a moment to see?
You got a minute. I'm not sure it's what's going to happen.
The new negotiation.
Yeah. This is why we don't negotiate.
I would say 15 feet, but I like the way you brought up, instead of 10, that it's becoming another 5. I liked how you proposed, what was it, long way? 10? Okay.
So from a proposition standpoint, it could be a minimum setback for the fence, say 5
Yeah.
feet, 10 feet, but a minimum setback for the gates of 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're still going to have the sidewalk there, so 15 would still give you 20.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But is that outside of the scope of where we were supposed to?
Wait, is it,
Negotiate.
is the adjacent property 30 or 50?
Just to let you know, before you answer that question, we only have 4 board members.
Yes,
If you'd like to
yeah.
wait to come back next month when the 5th board member, because you need 3 yes votes.
Okay, that's fine. let me ask you this. If we moved the columns and the fence back 5 feet, and then would we be allowed to put there's no reason why we wouldn't be allowed to put the arborvitaes or plants or shrubs or something in front of the
You can
fence?
put whatever you want in front of the fence.
Okay, is that something that we can agree on, and is that something that you can decide on today? If that's something
The
that,
arborvitae's, we don't even decide on. It's,
well, I'm just saying, if we say, fine, we'll agree to move the columns and the fence back 5 feet from where we show it on the plan currently, which is 1 foot off the right-of-way, is that something we can do here, or do I have to resubmit, or how does that work? So, yeah.
Yeah, so plant material is not regulated, so you put plant material.
Okay, perfect, that's fine.
so my point is, we were talking 10, 12, whatever. You're at 5, if that's where you stay.
Yeah, because I think you have to understand at some point too, it starts to become a maintenance issue where you have a generic or a kind of 10, 12 feet between a fence and the sidewalk, and then property behind it. As far as like maintenance goes, it starts to become problematic as well.
You're responsible for that right away, though, as part of the city ordinance as well.
In front of.
You need to cut the grass all
Oh,
over
the
the road.
street yard in front of it, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, Teresa.
Salim, if they were to choose to postpone their appeal because of the board member count, could they amend the request in that timeline?
No, not as I understand, we have to give a definition. They can come in with another, with another proposal, if that's what you mean, but we can't make a decision right now.
No, if,
It will be a new proposal for the next meeting.
so I think it's what Teresa's asking is, can they draw a new plan showing their setback, the gate?
Yeah, yes, they
Wait till we
can.
have 5 members and make it all happen by next
Yes.
March meeting?
Yes, they can.
Is that something I don't know how much work you can do in February digging posts and doing brickwork.
I mean, that's fine, sir, but the only question is that if in the March meeting, we come back with the same problem where they're like, oh, 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet,
But-
then.
Come up to the podium, please.
Sorry, sir. So then, but if you say that, yes, if, I think for at least 4 of you guys, if you say 5 feet is good enough, I can just change it to 5 feet now, or if he says, no, we cannot decide, then, I mean,
I
I
can't-
don't want to waste your time again to come.
Well, I can't speak for all the board members here, but I've mentioned either 10 to 12 feet. So if you want to stay at 5, you can stay at 5, but I'm not guaranteeing you're going to get 3 votes or 4 votes or 1 vote.
I think one thing that we've discussed here and we've brought up, there is a similar situation that was over on Long Lake between Rochester and Livernois on the north side. At similar ask, similar property, similar fence that was proposed. And if we are reconsidering this, I really highly recommend that you maybe take a look at that as a option for the way that we're looking at how we would see it and how we're looking at going forward as a board, because most of us are pretty much under an understanding of looking at the safety and so forth of the property, the right-of-way, the sidewalk. It has nothing to do with you personally. So we understand your ask, and I think we all agree that, we get it, and that's good. I think that we just have to look at it as a holistic thing of how we bring that proposal back, if you're willing to do that. And you can stay with the way it is today, or you can bring it back under that circumstance, but I would highly recommend something.
If we take a vote today and it fails, you're done.
One
Correct,
question,
Lee?
sir.
Yeah, I wanted to add that if you let me explain. So what happens, you have the option, like they're saying, to adjust and then come back again, or you can go ahead and put it through a vote as it is now. And if it fails, then when you come back, you just have to give us a different option, like say 10 feet from the sidewalk. That would be totally a new option. So you have that right as well.
And then one last question. I know you guys were talking about the height of the fence. So if we build a fence per the city code at the height, I can build it right to my property line with no
Correct.
question asked, right? So I mean, let's say I do that.
Okay?
Then the concerns that, and I'm not saying I'm doing that, but the concern about expansion of the road and the city paying for breaking it down will not change, sir. I mean, right, that. So, I mean, I understand you're asking me to consider it, but at the same time, for City of Troy, it will not make a difference. If I build a 30 or whatever the 30-inch thing right at the border, then the problem of expansion and safety and all of that stuff still remains the same. So, I mean, the question just is raising the height of it so that I feel more protected, not where I can build the fence.
The difference is 30-inch, you don't come to us. 54, you have to come to us.
I know, sir, but-
And what the city does is, we don't make the rules and the laws. We don't. I mean, if the city allows 30-inch fences, I'm all good for it.
You're now asking for an opinion of a board
Yeah.
versus an interpretation of a law.
I know, but I understand. It's just that the problem was the height of the thing, not where the location of the fence is that, right? So
I don't
now
think
you're
so.
just
I think
changing the
it's
location of the fence
everything.
completely.
I think it's height and location.
Well, the height causes the location issue,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
If the height wasn't there, the location wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
I mean, the gate,
This is the house you're talking about, right? Where we
Gates and
went
feet.
back.
Yes.
You can still have
Right.
columns, you could have.
Yeah, the gate part of that
Yes.
issue too. I mean, if it was just a straight fence going across and there was no gate, then, there's no driveways there to deal with, and it's a different proposal, do you understand? Then it's something else that we're
I'd say
reviewing
like tapers.
that's different from where you're at. So I understand what you're saying, but,
Great with that.
but one question back to Salim, just while you're still sitting there. So on the property line, we already know that the 6-foot can be constructed up to the property line on the east. The west, they have, because the backyard, the back to side ratio, the other particular party they can't build up to that property line.
No, they would
Correct.
need to have a setback because they have a double front lot
Right. So there is a setback on the west side,
on the west side, yes, sir.
but then we're asking for that setback to be waived, correct? And then as well as the height.
Yeah,
and
if
the
they
front.
come with a variance request, yes, but right now, they have that limitation.
Okay. I just wanted clarification on that, sorry.
So basically, if we give this variance back here, the people on the corner are going to be here for the same
Right,
thing and say, same reasons why.
right.
But
Yeah.
it's different to your point because nobody's trying to pull through there.
No, exactly.
Right.
So, what,
And, sorry, I guess the one thing that I'm not sure is clear, so I just want to say if it's clear, it's great. We're talking about, opining on the as presented. We've mentioned bringing back a different variation. And then I guess the third that I guess we haven't talked about is we can approve with some caveat, right? We could say as submitted with a 5-foot back, whatever the 10-foot number back is. So we haven't really talked about that option if we.
well, we have to find how much they want to go back. If he
Right.
says he only wants to go back 5 feet, then we adjust it as 5 feet and see what the vote comes at.
I'm just trying not make, if it was as simple as we're going to move it back 10 feet, they don't have to come back and wait a month or whatever. We could just make that amendment, I guess is what I'm saying. We don't have to waste a month.
So,
I mean, what I'm struggling with is just a number where it seems arbitrary. There's no specific,
Reason.
well, I understand their reasoning, but, and I understand that, and I think,
Just an arrow.
that can be addressed in a certain amount of feet. But I mean, you have literally the property to the east could go right up to with a 6-foot fence to the property line, and it's, but
Once
yet
again,
you're
we
telling
can't.
us that we can't,
property to the west can't.
Bring that up.
for the east.
I understand what that is.
Right, property to the east
Probably the
can.
west, well, because they're in a corner lot. We're in a.
Your property and the property to the west can't. And once again, we don't make the laws. We
No,
only,
I understand that.
yeah.
But
And
we're
to the
just kind of
point-
arbitrarily throwing out numbers about how far back, because there might be a right-of-way that expands, so.
Well, it's a right of way and it's also safety, and we want to make sure that the cars aren't sitting in the middle of Waddles Road while he's opening his gate.
Yeah,
So-
I think as he expressed as a homeowner, that he's already living there and
Yeah.
his large SUV can sit in the street yard without being
We
out
don't-
on the sidewalk
yes.
and in the drive lane.
But that's not the only condition that could be there at some point in the future. And once we've given variance to that and they decide to change the road and it's a problem, we can't go back to you and say,
don't
now
have
you
a
have to
problem.
move your fence back because we changed the road.
They
right?
absolutely do all the time. with
So this is,
right away. They tell you to move your stuff back, or you move your things, and I mean, that happens all the time.
Well, we're,
If that happened, he would have to move, he can't have his columns in the right of way. So he would
we are
have
not going to have the argument of where it goes. We have to know if he's interested in moving it back or not, so we can move on as a board.
That's fine, sir.
So, I mean, if you want to go right to the lot line, I'm fine with going at that. If you want to go 10 feet, we can try that. You can come back next month, but we're not going to have the argument of whatever. I would highly suggest you drive down Long Lake and look at the house that we approved 5-6 years ago. It looks just like your house. And he put the same exact thing up there, and if he brought that back,
And I think that one was,
you would,
Is that on Wattles?
no, it's on Long Lake.
I think
Can't
it's,
miss it.
I think it's set back about 5 to 10 feet for the fence, and then it's set back an additional
It's on Waddles,
10 feet.
closer to Rochester on the north side of the road. Big, big house. It's probably 6,000 square foot house.
But yours
Is
is nicer, we're just pointing out.
Yeah. He's got the second nice house. Yours is the nice. Something,
It's Long Lake, and I'm sorry, what?
Between Waddles and Livernois, on the north side, it's about halfway.
I believe, I think I can figure out the address here.
Lake, is it on the north side of the road?
north side of the road.
It looks like it's 643 East Long Lake. Don't quote me on that number, I'm just looking at Google Maps.
Okay, so to me, it appears like his fence is right 1 foot off the sidewalk. Is that what you're telling me?
No,
No.
his fence is about 5 or 7 feet off, and then he angles back at the driveway.
I don't remember this site.
You know, the best thing
Okay.
is if you'd like to postpone, come back, look at that, or we'll go the way it is right now.
No, I mean,
I don't know what else to tell you.
yeah, no, I understand, sir. That's fine.
Wait a minute.
This is 5 feet.
I guess then we would ask if you would accept 5 feet, moving the columns back 5 feet and the fence back 5 feet off the right of way. If that's
Considering
something
that,
you can, if
I-
that's
I
something you can approve today.
We can't all say yes right now. You have to tell us what you want. And
I would request that you approve it with a 5-foot, you can read into the record that we'll move it back 5 feet from where we currently have it proposed.
Okay. All right, I will talk to them. We'll bring it back to the board. Does anybody have any questions on the 5 feet? Do we,
We had a question we were discussing on one of the drawings right there. This is something we just noticed. There's a gas test station? Do you guys
no,
know?
that's just the marker of where the gas hooks up to the main.
So
Is
it's
that
just
what it-
like the shut off.
Okay, because I've never seen that writing before.
It just tells you where they hooked into the main.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never,
Take those
I
out
agree,
at the
I've
end.
not
Yeah.
seen
I
that,
didn't know if
so-
it was supposed to be a right-of-way for the consumers or something like that.
Nothing on
Okay.
So the petitioner wants to know if we'd move the fence back 5 feet, put the columns there and the gates at a straight 90. Anybody have any questions for the board here? I mean, and we want to put a,
Would you, I mean, I know I can't negotiate this, so it's,
yeah, just hit or miss, so.
for
You
the
can always
petitioners,
put
I mean, I'd feel more comfortable if I could set the gates back 10 feet and set the fence back 5 feet. I'd feel more comfortable with something of that nature, but, you know, where you pitched it in, angled it in.
Any kind of angles going in?
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of angle we need. Sandy, do you?
Yeah, we've always done
Straight.
we've always done 45 basically, so.
45, 45, 45.
Five's a little,
What's that?
5 is a little less than I was thinking.
No, we've always done 45.
No, he's
No,
saying 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
5
see what
foot
you're saying.
off is a little less than I was hoping for on the setback, but
Well, if you're not happy with 5, you put a motion forward and see where it goes. Or I can ask them if they want to put the gates back at 10 with a 45, gives them plenty of room to pull in. I mean, I'm not crazy about 5, but, yes, Sandy.
For Celine, were you just picking a number about 75, or is that the actual right-of-way of that road?
No, I was measuring from other streets. I have to check on that one. So like I always say, you know, we are approving the setback per the chapter 83, but we still, once it gets to our table on the building department, we check other things. So the approval is only for setbacks. We check for road expansion, we check for DPW easements. So there's a whole other series of items that we need to check on. So the setback varies per avenue on expansions. There's a sheet for that we check on through the permit.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you knew the actual number for this road. that's
No,
all.
not at the moment.
Yes.
Just to remind the board that reasons for denial of an application would be that the characteristics which make compliance with the requirements of the chapter difficult must be related to this premise. Again, we know that a 30-inch fence can go in. In addition to that, exceptional characteristics of the property, this isn't a small property, this is an acre and a quarter. I mean, those are just to remind us of reasons that we could deny the motion or appeal.
Matt, do you want me to ask them if they would like to move it back or just keep it as straight? This is why we don't negotiate truthfully, but
Yeah,
I can.
whatever you feel comfortable with, I think. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know, without pulling record from what Salim had on that
Right.
last one too, because he hates setting a precedence. That's what I'm always worried about.
Sandy, do you have any?
I do not.
None?
I think we need a clear proposal that is,
Okay,
there's been too much negotiation.
yeah.
I agree with that.
All right, so anybody want to put a motion forward for a, is that what you're saying? Well, you can, anybody can put a motion forward if they want, for whatever reason.
I
don't
mean, I
have to
just read the
negotiate.
reasons for denial. I would motion to deny the request at 5 feet
Okay,
for the reasons that the characteristics of the property do not warrant an approval, and also that compliance with a 30-inch is within keeping of the city ordinance.
I'm going to try to help them out for one quick minute. Would you be happy with 10 feet? Matt, would you be happy with 10 feet? Would you be happy with 10 foot off the property line? With the fence?
Yes?
Sandy? Would the petitioner please come up one last time?
Well, Mr. Abuthera? Mr. Abuthera?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Brooks put a motion forward.
No, she only said she would. I don't think you did you?
I said
I'm sorry.
I would.
I'm sorry. Please sit back down. Do we have a second for the motion? Okay,
I
seeing,
apologize. Can you repeat the motion just?
okay.
I would motion that the request be denied because the characteristics of the property would allow a fence to be set back farther, and also that the characteristics with compliance of the 30-inch fence can be met.
Jackie, can we discuss it before a second?
Nobody seconds it, then it doesn't.
Nobody seconds
Okay.
it?
Nobody seconds
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Is there a second on the motion? No? Okay, motion fails, correct, Jackie?
Correct.
Okay. Petitioner, I think my board's being friendly here, but do you have a problem? A few of my board members are thinking 10 feet they'd be happy with. If you're going to tell them 5 and go, or 10, we can probably see what happens.
I mean, I can hear you guys talk, so I mean, I guess 5 would be a no-go and we'll have to come back. I mean, is there any way, I know you guys don't negotiate and things like, is it 7.5? I'm just losing a lot of footage, and when I built my house, I already put it all the way back instead of building it in the front, so that I have enough space in the front of my house, right? So I'm just losing a lot of, because if I build that fence, all that stuff in front of it would be a wasted space personally for me. I mean, if it comes down from 5 to 10 feet, and the only way I can get, because I have to do it, there's no way for me not to do it. So I mean, I would agree to whatever you guys think is where you guys will come up with a number. I'm just asking you to be lenient so that I can not waste so much property in front of my house, and I don't know the rules and regulation, as like he was saying, is that even if you approve 5 and it goes back down to the building or the engineering department, and they say, no, you cannot build 5 because of road expansion and all of that stuff, it will not be approved anyways. So that's number one. And number two is that what she was saying, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, is that if I build something and the city wants to take it over because of expansion of the road, I don't think I have a way to stop that. And I would have to give it away anyways. As I said, I've lived in Troy, and I'm sure you guys have too, that road has never expanded. Even in north of, like right in front of me, there's really not much space. I mean, I can literally see in people's backyard and in their windows, it's so close to the road. And that's why we built it so far, so that if somebody's walking, they will not just be able to look into my house. That's the only reason we did it all the way back. But I mean, if you guys think that 10 feet is what you guys will agree on, I will say to 10 feet. I'm just asking so that when you guys think about it, just think is that if you were building your own house and you had to give up 2.5 feet of your land, and that would be a wasted space for something that might never happen in the future. So
Okay, I understand what
all.
you're saying. You are not giving up your land. You're only moving your fence back that you
I
can
know,
see
sir.
through. It's not a.
But you know what I
Put
mean,
a
right?
30-inch
Gary.
in.
But if you guys want 10 feet, I'm okay with 10 feet.
I have additional information. I investigated here for Sandy's question. It's 60 feet for that street expansion, and he's right at the side, the property line, 60 feet. So there is no more expansion into it.
All right,
Right away will not move.
Correct.
okay, so 5 feet or 10 feet?
So can I just have
10 seconds. Make it quick.
now that
We're negotiating way more than we're
I
supposed to.
know, sir. Now that we know that the road will never be expanded, is 5 feet okay with you guys, sir? I mean, I don't
It's
want
up to you, not us. It's up to you.
No, sir, but you are the one who's approving it, right? So, I mean, I'm not, this is not a,
I need to correct that. I didn't say it will never be expanded. What I'm saying is your house, your property is already at the position in case it gets expanded.
what does that mean? Sorry.
So it means that you're already at the position that if it gets expanded, they won't take any more of your property.
There you go.
Right, but the road can be expanded closer to your property line. I'm just going to, just so you understand, Teresa is exactly right? The way this is set up, the board as a process is you would have to justify to us one of these things, exceptional characteristics, a really narrow lot, you're on a weird triangular lot, you're close to the, your lot is large, square, and flat. There really is not a whole lot of justification that you can't meet the intent of the code. We understand what you're trying to do and how you're trying to better your way of life on your property, and so we're trying to find a solution that can satisfy that. But if I read this black letter that says, irregular shape, smallness of lot, topography, vegetation, similar characteristics, you don't have any real problems that say you can't meet the intent of the code. So we're just trying, again, as Gary said, probably giving way more leeway than we should to try and find a way to give you a satisfactory outcome without just throwing the code out and saying he came and asked and it was real, and we gave him something, right?
All right, so 10 feet it is.
That was your answer.
Yeah.
Kathy, do you need to make one more class?
No, we're okay. I'm not guaranteeing 10 feet is going to pass. I'm just telling you, I mean, that is it. Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak? Just making sure he's not here. And Celine, we have one letter in denial of this.
Is there any phone?
Opposition, yeah.
Do you get
Opposition?
voicemails anymore? I'm sorry?
No, not
No
any longer.
voicemails anymore?
Yeah, we have one, 1432, we have public comment from
Each
January
person has it at their
26th.
seat.
Yeah.
What's that?
Each person has that at their seat.
Yes, we all have it. There's one letter in denial. It seems they're complaining more about the
Topography.
back and side topography, which is always taken care of. So I'm not really taking this letter as a reason for the fence being too close to the front, more of,
Right, they talk about drainage, which is fence.
Which is, yeah.
Which they're showing actually on their plan anyways.
yes, and the drainage is taken care of on it. So that, I don't really count this letter. but
I agree, that is
I want
one
to put it in
concern.
there. All right, so now we're back to us, and we have 10 feet.
I'll make a motion. You ready for it?
Please do.
Motion,
Before you make the
Yes.
motion, I'm going to ask petition one more time. Only 4 people. It takes 3 votes. Do you want to go, or do you want to postpone it to next month? We have a full board. We have 5 chances to get 3 votes, rather than 4 chances to get 3 votes. I want to put it to you before, I don't want you walking out saying, why'd I do that?
No, I understand, sir, but if I can't convince 4 people, then I don't be able to convince the 5th one.
So you said go, keep going? Okay. Sandy, you put a motion together.
motion to approve the request with the caveat that it's moved to 10 feet back from the, and I always get the wrong word, is that the property line? Lot line?
South property.
The lot line, 10 feet from the lot line.
South. South.
South, what do you mean?
You're not-
From the south lot line, you're saying? Yes, correct, from the south lot line. In that the proposed variance would not be harmful to the essential character of the area in which the property is located.
Kathy, or Jackie, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Jackie, we have a
Mr.
vote, please?
Duserman?
Yes.
Mr. Becerra?
Yes.
Ms. Brooks?
No.
Mr. Friesen?
Yes.
Your motion
Motion
passes.
passes.
You're 10 feet from the property line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business is I'm lost. Communications. Do we have any communications today, Jackie?
No, we do not. Unless Mr. Huerta does,
What's that?
unless you have additional.
No, I was just mentioning about the sheet that we signed. Would that
All
be part
signed
of
it.
communication? Yep.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, no. Miscellaneous business. I have a question for you, Jackie. Did we officially figure out our vacation schedules and our schedule for next year? I thought we postponed it to
I think you're right, we did.
this meeting.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Does anybody know anything about that?
We were waiting for Mark.
We're waiting for Mark. Could we put a memo to Mark to make sure that by the March meeting, because I know July and August are going to be, are
I
going to
have
be
notes on here, yeah.
really. So Jackie, you could, big post-it note on his door.
I can, thank you.
Okay. Any other, if you like, I'll put the post-it note on his door. I don't want you to get into trouble.
I'll send something official.
All right. Any
Post-it
any other miscellaneous business we have?
I have one question. So we kind of discussed it today in regards to the code in chapter 83. And so what does it take to change a chapter versing or a way that
Yeah,
works
so-
in regards to, we're only regulating that.
Amending it, you're talking,
Yeah, so how
yeah.
do you amend that? What's the proposal to go forward to amend something like that?
I appreciate that you're asking that because there's many things that can be amended and make it better. And we would have to put a document together and present it to council. And for me, we have to go through Brent for approval before it can go to council. And I think he has to take it to a higher level for
And
approval.
what amendment will you be talking about?
He's saying in general, any
In
amendment.
general, because I think there's a lot of like obscurities in each chapter code that wouldn't have to be presented to us in regards to, like what you said, in some irregular situations or vice versa. The 30-inch thing is, to me, is something that sits out there as like, is it 30 or is it, like, what is the 36 okay? Or, it would have to, we'd probably have to put
No,
something.
that is defined.
Yes, I know it's 30,
Yeah,
but
what
I'm saying
happens
like
is
if we ever
once-
wanted to change it. in
Once
that
you
sense.
start mixing the rules, there's certain things that don't make a lot of sense. For example, having a restriction to 2.5 feet and then the lot next to it has 6 feet.
Right,
So it's how it interacts with its own rules.
right. Or the
That's why
setbacks
the
too.
board's here, though, is to take care of those little quirks.
There's not a clause to say an average of the two requirements.
Right.
When you have two abutting properties of different height
Correct,
requirement,
correct.
then you could do an average of the two requirements.
Correct. Something like that, but that's what it's saying.
Yeah, I
It's just, I was just curious on what that, but that would take a lot more, is basically somebody, almost like the city attorney or somebody like that, to help us draft?
No,
something
it
like
can
that?
come from us.
It would come from us.
Yeah, and then we can present it. And of course, in this case, maybe the city attorney, we want to see it, but it's more our document.
Okay.
And like you can make the proposal and just, I would say, bring it to the table. And then from here, we have to talk to Brent to see if it can be presented to city council or not.
I'll make that one of my goals for
But if we do
2020.
that, Matt, if we do that, then we're just going to eliminate our job.
I was gonna say, to Gary's point, the whole point of this board is to do you're never gonna write a draft that
That is
covers
never
all,
gonna get
all
done.
conditions.
Yeah.
So this is the point of this, is to deal with.
Yeah,
And I'm
but I
trying
would
to-
say
Uniquely.
there are some characteristics that could be changed if we wanted to, but like I said, it's one of those things that I see it as like an aging factor of code that may need to be looked
Because
at. in some
I'm
way.
counting this board for my retirement, so. Do we have anything else, or can we close the meeting? All set? Meeting's adjourned.